This by far and away is the most important video that I have ever made. And I want to start by giving you two uncomfortable truths. Uncomfortable truth number one, it is incredibly expensive to live in this country, the United States of America, and it's probably not going to get less expensive. Inflation's out of control.
Prices continue just to skyrocket.
If you've been following anything that's going on with these BRICS country, the value of the dollar is at stake over the coming months and years. Housing prices are out of control. Couple that with rising inflation rates, it is damn near impossible for most people in this country to buy housing for themselves anymore. And when you roll in the fact that going to get a job for a company can't pay your bills anymore, that leads me to uncomfortable truth number two. If you want to make it in this country, and I'm not talking about the 1%, I'm talking middle class, upper middle class, you gotta make money. You just have to. And a lot of people don't want to hear that, but taking the traditional path of going to college and getting a job and putting yourself in debt, it doesn't really work anymore. It just doesn't. Now, all these things, inflation, housing prices, these are all outside of our control. And I'm not the type of person who wants to sit around and cry and wallow about things that are outside of my control. But making money is 100% inside of your control if you have the right direction. And that's what I'm gonna talk about in this video. I'm gonna talk to you about how the best way to make money for yourself right now in 2023 and going forward to always be able to provide for your family. If you watch to the end of this video, I promise you, you will be on your way to doing that. So let's get into it. So I made a part one to this video. If you haven't seen it, make sure to comment below. I'll send you the link to it. You can check it out. And in that video, I talked about what the best ways to make money are right now in 2023. And spoiler alert, the conclusion of that video was service-based businesses. So being an agency, a consultant, training, coaching, anything where you're providing client services to another business or person, that right there is the business that you want to be in. Because it's so easy for you to get started, there's not a lot of investment, and right away you can rip off $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month off of one client. Now, of course, it's not that easy. We have to talk about the how. How do you do that? Well, let's jump on over to my computer and let me run you through the frameworks. So this is all very similar to what I teach my consulting clients over at the Blueprint Training and at Ryan Stewart Consulting. And the name of the game here is if you want to get paid a lot of money to do something, you got to be solving a problem. You solve a problem, you can make money. If you know how to solve problems for people with money, you will always be able to provide for yourself. Whether that's doing something simple like cutting the lawn, the problem is that, hey, my lawn is overgrown, or providing high impact marketing services to a business. Those are problems that need to be solved. And I'm going to walk you through how to find, how to analyze, and how to go about solving those problems in this very video. So it's really a three-part process to scaling a successful service-based businesses. The first is the what. That's the offer. We're going to talk a lot about that in this video. What problem are you solving and what mechanism are you using to solve that problem, aka your service or your solution? What's the problem? What's the solution? We're going to talk about that. Then it gets into service delivery. I'm a big fan of what I call a productized service, which is essentially doing the same thing over and over again that runs on a very tight process. This makes operation easier, this makes marketing easier, this makes selling easier, this makes delivery easier, and it makes your margins much, much better than doing custom work all the time. And surprise, you can actually charge more for services like that if you know how to do it. And the final part is all about acquisition. You got to be able to go out and acquire new customers. So the core focus of this video is going to be on the offer because this is all about how to start a service-based business. So let's talk about that. How do you develop an offer for yourself? So let's slide on over here to this offer impact, service impact chart. And what we're looking at here, right? First of all, notice the moniker, solve problems, make money. It's really the core to life. Solve a problem, make money for it. Is how we evaluate the impact and the price elasticity and really the type of business, the service-based business that we want to run. And I'm going to show you exactly how to use this. It's super simple, but man, it's so impactful as well. So on the left-hand side, we have information. So on a sliding scale, high being up here, low being down here, what's the level of information needed to run this service, right? So if we're talking about something like doing a marketing as a service, it's going to be pretty high information needed versus doing something like lawn cutting. You don't really need a lot of information to understand how to cut lawns. So you can see how that sliding scale slides up and down to help you decide. Now, the other one over here is labor. Low on the left, high on the right. Is it something that can be delivered with low labor? Or is it something that takes a lot of labor to get it done? And these are really the two important factors when we're starting to evaluate offers. So I want to start with a few problems from down here. So let's take this one up here, right here. Let's look at something like a dirty house, right? Somebody has a dirty house. What's the solution for that? Well, house cleaning. So let's evaluate if you were going to start a house cleaning business on this matrix. Does cleaning a house require a lot of information in terms of knowledge or not a lot of information? I would say it doesn't really require a lot of information. Now, does it require a lot of labor or not a lot of labor? Well, it requires a pretty good amount of labor to clean a house if you've ever done that before. And you see down here, now this is the quadrant, I'll start talking about these. Down here is what I call a bad service or bad offer. So anything that is low information and high labor, right, is not a place that we want to be in. Why? Because it's commoditized, and it's also a lot of effort for not a lot of return for the client. That means that you're essentially a commodity, because if you think about the amount of people that can clean houses out there, it's a good amount of people, and that's no disrespect to house cleaners. You can build a really good house cleaning business. I'm just saying, is that something that you really want to get into? Because when you get into something that's commoditized in terms of a lot of people in the market, a lot of competition, then the price elasticity in terms of what you can charge for it is always going to be a race to the bottom. There's only so much that you can charge for house cleaning because there's so many other people cleaning houses. So this down here, I would put this in the bad service offer. Now, the way that we want to go up is left, right, and then over here. So bad service, okay service would be low information and low labor. So it's another thing, if it's like, okay, you don't need a lot of information, but it's pretty easy to deliver, then okay, that's an okay service. Now, if we're talking about something that's high information, but also high effort, right, it's a good service. But the best, where we want to land, is going to be over here, something that requires a lot of information, aka high barriers to entry in terms of who can do it, but not a lot of effort to deliver. So I'm going to keep going through these other problems down here that I have and show you how we can build different services. And also too, because I know a lot of you out there watching this are marketers, agencies, consultants, I'm going to show you why a lot of your offers and your businesses stagnate and they stink, because you haven't gone through this simple process of understanding if the market wants it. Now, the final piece to this is I've got these validation questions over here, right? So these are the questions that I like to run through when I am going through and also validating this. So again, we go back to something like the problem of having a dirty house and the solution being house cleaning. So the first 4 questions here help you to validate the market. Is there a problem or a pain that needs solving? Yes, there is. People have dirty houses. A lot of people have those dirty houses. How painful is the problem? Not that painful, because anyone can clean the house themselves. They're just kind of lazy to do it. They don't have the time. They got kids running around, etc. Is there purchasing power? So because this is such a vast, wide market, the answer is kind of, it depends. If you go up market, you're cleaning mansions, absolutely, you can charge more for that. But again, it's a sliding scale. It's a race to the bottom. Is the customer easy to find target? This is important from a marketing point of view. So when we go back to those 3 steps, offer, delivery, acquisition, are you able to acquire customers because you can easily target them? So yes, basically anyone who has a home or lives somewhere probably is in the market for some sort of house cleaning, assuming that they have the purchasing power to afford it. So yes, this is a good one here because it's easy to target people in homes. If you were to like overlay Facebook ads on top of this, you could target people in wealthy zip codes, right? And just say, attention homeowners, need house cleaning, blah, blah, whatever. So yes, this is a good one here to easy to target, and we want them to be easy to target because it makes acquisition 100 times easier. So is there competition for your offer or a market of one? So this is where we start getting into the qualifications of the offer in terms of how much we can charge and in terms of how much money we can really make off this. So when it comes to something like house cleaning, there's a ton of competition. You're not a market of one. We always want to be trying to skew to market of one, because when we're a market of one, we're really more up in these 2 areas up here, which is where most of the money is going to be made. So now we're getting down here too. And I have to clarify this question here. It says, would the result of your service end up in more, and I underline conversion. So there's a couple of types of services and offers that we want to be in. When I say conversions, I'm thinking from a marketing and a business point of view in terms of, does what we do make the client more money, right? Now, house cleaning wouldn't be a good example of that, or it could be, because down here you see this question. I'll just kind of fuse these 2 together. Is your service a direct or indirect path to conversion or making more money? So again, taking a quick step, there's a couple types of offers that we want to be in. There's health and wealth. There's health, there's wealth, and there's love. So when I say wealth, that could be anything from financial investing to marketing to anything in between. But essentially it's a question of, are we making people more money? Because the core of what people want, they want to make more money. So it's always going to be a good offer. We'll always have a business if we're making people more money. So I say, does the service end up in more conversions? Because I'm really talking more from a marketing point of view. Now, direct or indirect, you could make the argument, right? If you're cleaning the house of somebody, you're saving them time, which allows them more time to make themselves more money. So you could make the argument that it's an indirect path to conversion, to health, to wealth, to happiness, to love, whatever, but it's a pretty big bridge to get there. And if it's an indirect path, to that big goal that they have, whether that's, again, health, whether that's wealth, or whether that's love. It's an indirect path. It's going to be harder to justify that sale. It's going to be harder to acquire that customer. If it's a direct path, if it's a direct correlation between, if I do this, then you're going to fall in love, then you're going to be healthy, then you're going to have six-pack abs, then you're going to make a lot of money, then it's going to be much easier to sell that, and you're going to be much closer to getting to that market of one in terms of getting customers. So does the result of this end up in, more health, wealth, happiness? I would say no. Is my service the fastest way to achieve the desired result? So this is another kicker, right? When it comes to putting together a service, people want speed. They don't want something that takes months, years to develop into unless there's a massive upside to it, or there's a really low impact for it. And for an example, that could be something like, if you are an investor, right, you're willing to give $100,000 to make, $1 million over 10 years because you have to do nothing for it. There's no effort on your part, right? And there's no information needed on your part. You're basically just giving up money to have just return it for yourself in the future. Now, that's not a service. I'm just trying to break down the psychology for you of how and why people spend money, because if you can understand that, then you can make money off that as well. So these are offer market validation questions. Again, this is why I would never go into business like house cleaning, because for a lot of reasons, it just doesn't pass any of the vibe test over here. So let's look at something else here that's also in the home services. Let's say somebody has an outdated house, right? This is the problem. They have an outdated house, and the offer that you have is your home contractor. This is a little bit better one to look at because I think there's a little bit more purchasing power inside of this market. So if you are a home contractor, does it require a lot of information or low information? It requires a lot of information. Building a house is not easy. You have to get certified. It costs money, costs time, takes a lot of experience. Now, is this something that's high labor or low labor? Well, it's a ton of labor. So home contractor is a good business, but there's a lot of barriers to entry. Now let's go through these questions to really validate that for you. Is there a problem or pain that needs solving? Absolutely. People have an outdated house. People need a new house, etc. How painful is the problem? Well, I think it depends on the market, right? My wife and I renovated our entire house, and I think most people who have the money to do it, who have the purchasing power to do it, it's a good problem to solve. Is the customer easy to find or target? Not really, right? Again, anybody who has a house, you could hypothetically segment some sort of real estate database looking at houses that were built and renovated after a certain time and do some sort of outreach, some sort of cold calling, some sort of knocking, community outreach, things like that. But it's kind of a difficult marketing space. Or again, not really, because I'm now going back on this, using search marketing, putting up pay-per-click ads for home renovation contractors near me. You can actually probably get customers really easily. And I know that because we do it for some of our clients. So I'm just talking shit. Is there a competition for your offer? A market one? Tons of competition. This is where the offer for me starts to fall apart. It's a ton of energy, and there's a ton of competition for it, where the result of your service end up in more blank. This is also where it gets difficult to justify the money for it. And this is a perfect example, right? Let's say you're renovating your home. Now, you're basically putting up money with the hope of having a place that's more comfortable to live, fits your design aesthetic, makes you feel like you're cool to the neighbors, to your friends, etc. But also it adds value to the home. So you could make the argument here again, and this is why it's so important to understand these angles of what people care about, because if you were in the home services and contractors industry, this is what you'd want to drill into in terms of your messaging, in terms of your marketing, in terms of your pitches, is maybe the fact that they're going to you specialize, and we'll talk more about specialization in a second. You specialize in making homes more valuable. This is not just an aesthetic thing, but this is a money thing. This is an investment thing. If you put up $100,000 into our services and cost of labor and materials, you're going to add $200,000 in value to your house. So you put up 100, you make 200. Where else do you make that kind of investment? So you see how that's a good actual angle to approach and pitch and market against as well. So that's why it's important to ask these questions, because it's not just about validation. It's if you own one of these businesses, you operate in one of these fields, this is how you become more effective when it comes to marketing and sales. Is your service the fastest way to achieve desired results? That's really a question of how much they're willing to pay. Is your service direct or indirect path? So this could be made for both. Obviously, contracting is a great business. You make a ton of money in it. But again, the thing that I keep coming back to is the barriers of entry to actually get into the market. So now I want to go into, I did those home services once to drive home some context. And this, also applies to things like landscaping or lawn care, right? If you just look at the landscaping industry in general, if you're doing something like mowing the lawn, it's another one that kind of lands you down here, because not hard to mow the lawn, right? I could go out and buy a lawnmower. It's just a pain in the ass. It's a lot of effort, but not a lot of information. So it's a tough offer to have. It's a race to the bottom in pricing. You get stuck in the situation where you just can't go up market and charge more because the service that you're providing is just a straight up commodity. And these are the honest conversations that you have to have with yourself if you want to be effective in business. So let's go down to another problem. Now let's go to lack of conversions, right? Because I know a lot of you are marketers out here. And let's go through a few different offers here. So let's say lack of conversions. If you are, let's say I'm a law firm, right? Let's say I'm a law firm. And I'm like, damn, dude, I'm getting crushed out here. It's brutally competitive. And I need more leads. If I need to keep my law firm open, I need more leads. So what are your options? Well, you're probably gonna hire an agency or consultant because you don't have the knowledge in-house. So if you are an agency or consultant, then I specialize in working with law firms. So this is really top of mind here. So let's look at something like SEO. Right. So let's say my offer as a agency or consultant, let's say I'm you and I want to get into business and I'm like, okay, like I've seen people talk about SEO, people need search engines, blah, blah, blah. Let me get into it. So you want to do SEO. So is the information high? Yeah, it's pretty high. You need quite a bit of knowledge to do SEO. And there's a sliding scale here too. It could be a little bit of information. So it goes up and down. And when you land on this chart, obviously you don't always land up here. Sometimes you could be here, sometimes you could be here, etc. So I would say it's right about here. You can learn SEO pretty quickly, probably in a couple of months, but you do need to have some information for it. Now, how much effort and energy does it take? Well, this is where things start to get interesting. So there's levels and layers to delivering marketing services. And this is, man, I should write a book on why so many agencies, especially SEO agencies, struggle because they don't understand the right relationship between labor, right, and market. What do I mean by that? I mean by that if you're doing SEO, right, and you're doing it for a local gym, it's probably going to take you the same amount of effort to work with a local gym as it would with a local attorney. Now, what's the difference between a gym and a local attorney? Two things. One, the pain of the problem is much greater for a law firm. Why? Because it's brutally competitive out there for law firms and they need to make a ton of money in order to stay open. And this one is really the big thing, is the purchasing power. There's 100 million times more purchasing power in terms of money that a law firm can invest into their business than a gym. A gym is capped. A gym makes $1 million a year, maybe max, maybe a little bit more, where a law firm can make $100 million a year. So all that extra revenue can get pumped back into marketing services for you. So what does that mean? That means that your level of effort is really dependent on who you run your service for. So we're not going to get into it here. I've got some other videos. Make sure to comment below if you want to see my videos on market positioning. But the who that you work with is another huge kicker, especially when it comes to marketing service here. Because if you're working for the wrong industry, you could be completely cannibalizing and crushing your own business by doing a ton of work over here, making it a good service, but really over here could be a best service simply by shifting who you work for. And then once you understand the who, then you can start to manipulate the how. So for example, when we talk about something like local SEO versus SEO consulting, people are willing to pay me $1,000 an hour to get on a Zoom call with them and just talk to them, which is the best offer up here. It's not even on the chart. It's so good, right? To sit on a Zoom call and just get asked questions. I have to prepare nothing. I just show up, $1,000 for the hour. That's it. Best offer there is. It takes literally no effort, but it takes a ton of information for me. It's literally off the chart all the way up here. But if I was going to do local SEO for, again, a gym, then it's probably going to be over here and actually skewing down here because the information isn't that great, but the labor is pretty good. So again, this is where so many agencies get stuck, is that you come in and you learn this business and then you just stagnate there. You don't continuously go up market. You don't continuously grow. You don't continuously level up. And that's why this type of information, this type of framework is so important, because you've got to be asking yourself these questions consistently, whether you're getting started on day one or you're on day 1 million of running your business. If you're not continuously looking at and evolving your service, it's another reason why you're stuck. And if you don't understand the relationship between market, between effort, between labor, between purchasing power, between the who, between the what, then you're going to be stuck for a while. So let's get SEO off there, right? Because we can go through some more things. So now we look at something like SEO for dentists, right? So now we're a little bit more specialized. And when it comes to SEO for dentists, I would actually put this again up here and then over here. It's a good service, right? Now, I'm actually going to make a copy of this, and I'm going to do leads for dentists. And the reason why I did that is because a lot of us out here are selecting a service before we select the problem, right? So let me go back and break this down for you. Let's say we have two offers here: lead generation for dentists, SEO for dentists. If you are a dentist, why are you paying for SEO? To get leads, right? So why are we cutting ourselves off by doing SEO instead of providing what actual people want? The problem is not, I don't rank high enough. That is an indirect, right? That's an indirect path to conversions. Ranking is an indirect path to conversions. What they really want is conversions. The problem is a lack of conversions. And this is, again, why so many, especially SEO agencies and consultants, struggle, because they're not solving problems, they're offering a service. And I know this whole video is about how to offer a service, but the core of what I'm trying to push into your brain is that if you know how to solve problems, you'll always be able to eat. Why? Because in 5 years, SEO might be dead, right? There might be no more avenues through Google. AI's taken over everything. People are using all sorts of different places to get their information. And SEO just doesn't really exist anymore because there's not enough traffic and not enough eyeballs on the platforms. But if you solve the lead problem for dentists, then you just move on to whatever the next thing is. Maybe you're using AI, maybe you're using social media. You always want to be continuously evolving your service and your offer by providing what works the best. And that's why these questions down here matter. Is your service the best way to achieve desired results? If you're a dentist, right, and you know everything about marketing, what are you going to do to get yourself leads? Are you going to do SEO? Is that going to be your first choice? Are you going to do paid marketing? Are you going to do influencer marketing? I don't have the answer to that because I don't work with dentists. But the point is that if you're not continuously going through and asking yourself these questions, right? So we've already validated the problem. We know that lack of conversions is a big problem for dentists, for any business really. So this is easy. But would the result of your service end up in more conversions? If you do SEO, is that could be the fastest way and the best way for them to get more conversions? Is the result of what you do going to result in more phone calls? And here's another good one that I'm gonna throw in for you as well. Let's throw SEO for SaaS in here. I pick on SaaS all the time. I love it because it just gets people so ruffled. But when we look at SEO for SaaS and we ask ourselves these questions, is there competition? Tons of competition. Everyone wants to do SEO for SaaS. Complete red ocean. Would the result of your service end up in more conversions? My answer to this is no. Why? Because if you go to Google and you type in best CRM, what do you see? You see G2 Crowd, you see a bunch of review sites. You don't really see a direct client's website, right? It's really hard to put your client in results for those bottom funnel searches. So what ends up happening is we create all this content, this top funnel content, which is an indirect path to conversions. But the further we get away from direct conversions, the harder it is to sell. The more saturated the market is, the less purchasing power you have. The less pricing power you have, the less you can charge. So it's not a place that you want to be in. You want to be in a place, if you're offering a service, point blank, it is the best way for that business to make more money. It's the fastest, it's the most cost effective, it's the most profitable, it's the easiest for them to understand. It is the most direct path for them to make more money, to get more conversions, to get more leads, to get more customers, whatever it is that they care about. So when we look at something like email marketing, right? Email marketing is interesting to me because the reason why I like email marketing is because it's kind of settled. The dust is settled on email marketing. When email marketing first came out 20 years ago, open rates were like 90% because nobody had seen it. So now over time, open rates have settled around 20-25% average. People still check email every single day. It's still a core part of marketing, still a core part of a consumer's daily life, but the impact of it has gone down admittedly. However, I know for a fact, if you are good at email marketing, you go into any business and you're like, give me your email list. In a week, I'm gonna get you more leads. I'm gonna get you more sales. I'm gonna get you more conversions, because email lists are one of those things that's always underutilized. It's never really fully paid attention to unless it's really good marketing inside the company. So in terms of information, why I like this is it doesn't really take a ton of information to do, right? I would say it takes right around 75% because you got to understand a little bit of technical, you got to understand some copywriting, maybe a little bit more. Actually, I'm understating it. But the level of effort here, do it to come in and write 5 emails and to blast them off to a list, do some list cleanup. It's not really a ton. So email marketing is a great service. And plus, because of the fact that it's anchored against the fact that you're going to make that business more money, more conversions as quickly as possible, right? Is this a direct way? It's a direct path to more conversions. Is it fast? It's incredibly fast. Is the result going to end up in more conversions? Yes, absolutely. It's a great offer. It's a great service. So let's look at something like social ads. Social ads I would put up here as a good service, but not great. Why? Because it takes so much effort to actually deliver social ads. We do them internally. Do they get results? Absolutely. Do they drive conversions? Absolutely. Is it fast? Yeah, they're pretty fast. But the amount of effort it takes to get accounts set up, to get targeting set up, to get the content right, and then to continue maintenance of it, I don't really love it. That's why we don't do it. Content writing, another controversial one. Now this is being demolished right now and in the coming years by AI. So in terms of information, you've got to be a pretty good writer, although AI is pushing it down here. Right? AI is making this less and less information needed, and it's opening it up to more and more people to be able to write. If you're a shitty writer, you can use AI, you can get it done pretty quickly. In terms of the level of effort, it's a lot of effort to write. It's a lot of effort, and it usually isn't direct, unless we're talking about like sales copywriting, which would be more up here because it does directly impact conversions. If we're talking about like blog writing, especially for like most businesses, it's probably gonna be down here in the bad services. I would not get into the content writing space unless you are an AI whiz and know how to get the most out of that right now. Link building is another one. This is probably my favorite one to pick on because you open up anybody's LinkedIn DMs and they're getting bombed by link building pitches. And the reason why link building is a terrible offer It's all the way down here. A terrible offer. Never, don't do link building. It's stupid. Is because of the fact that it's not that painful of a problem, because this is a microset of SEO, which is a microset of marketing, which is a microset of getting more conversions and revenue. So is there competition? Tons of competition for this. Again, open up your LinkedIn DMs. You're getting bombed by link building people. Does it result in your services end up in more conversions? No, it does not. Absolutely not. It indirectly impacts SEO, which indirectly impacts conversions. So you do the math there. Is this a fast way to desire results? No. It takes weeks and weeks to build links. It takes a lot of money. It's a terrible service. Well, all right. So that video went on a lot longer than I thought it was, but honestly, that's probably the most important video that I've ever created. And if you watch the whole thing, please do me a favor. Drop me a comment, drop me a subscribe, share this with a friend, somebody who, might be struggling at work, wants to dip their toe in entrepreneurship. This is a video that they need to watch because it's going to teach them the core fundamentals of how to make money, because it's all about solving problems for other human beings. It will never go out of style. AI will never be able to automate that. If you know how to solve problems and you know how to forecast and understand where the market is going, you will always, always, always be able to provide for yourself and for your family. That's all I got. Hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.